Hi everyone, this is Alec from Reddit's Hex Encounter community. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be doing an unboxing of a recent title here by Hollandspiele, The Big Push, Trench Warfare on the Western Front in the First World War. For those of you that are unfamiliar or new to Hollandspiele, it is a new US-based game manufacturer that heavily leverages print and play, or rather on-demand printing technologies to not actually have to maintain an inventory of their games. They don't send print runs to China and need to get back 10,000 units. They essentially print the game and assemble it as you order it from them. And so certain materials do need to have some mass production. I believe the cards are produced in small batches ahead of time, but the game's not put together, and many of the components aren't printed until they are needed, which is an interesting model which allows them to take risks on smaller games that might not otherwise see the light of day. For instance, hopefully a few of you have seen my videos on NATO Air Commander, which is just a great solitaire game that they've recently published. I also have they have 2 games in a series on supply during the American Revolution. The game's not about, most of the revolution. It's about maintaining supply. And you can only do that if you had low overhead and you could do print on demand. So this is one of theirs on trench warfare in World War I. Thin box, about a 1-inch box here. A short rule book, weighing in about 8 pages. One thing that you don't get over the video on this one is one aspect of these games. I don't know if it's the adhesive used or the ink and the printing or the varnish used to kind of seal everything, but maybe kind of like some of the Victory Point Games titles, these games do need to air out, if you will. They do have a bit of a kind of a processing type odor to them, which I'm getting a lot of right now. But this game, the manual is a full color manual talking about how the players go. This is a 2-player game, which is kind of driven by decks of cards, which each deck has 38 HQ cards, which are divided into army, air cards, etc. This is trench warfare, and you've got opposing forces that are going against one another to move their line forward or not. So, short rules, lower complexity, not a lot in the terms of graphics here to help you kind of see how things would go. You got some here on the sequence of play. I have not yet read this, so I'm not going to comment much, but the back is a play aid. So we have a play aid. We have 2 decks of cards. These are the HQ cards. One is gray, one is blue, and then a number of other things here. Let me go ahead and, I guess for the Germans here, if I can figure out how, here we go. We'll take a look at these cards. This is a fairly high quality card, very high quality card stock. Done in their printing, and this is such that in the other games of theirs that I have, I feel absolutely no problem bridge shuffling these without the need of sleeving, which is almost unheard of, but they are absolutely fine. And so you have a number of cards here, numerals, and then some events and mutinies, etc. Largely a card-driven game. We see we have a very small half sheet of counters, one of which has a status track. The other one is one for each player, attack and defend, victory point, game turn, and that's all she wrote there. These are all laser printed or laser cut, and then a map. That's it. And that's what we have. And so the maps in the Hollandspiele games are all generally quarter folded cardstock. So you do end up with a little kind of button here in the middle. But if I go ahead and move all of this stuff ever so briefly, there we go. You'll see that the map is essentially, 2 tracks, spaces for cards, areas of the front where things occurred: Verdun, Champagne, Chemin de Mar, the Somme, Artois, and Flanders. And presumably players are playing or allocating cards against one another, and resolving how effective they are on the various fronts. And so, the nuances on how all that'll play, I'll have to go in and do some reading. I do hope to play this and get a video out on this. This does look like I was just fascinated by the concept of having opposing players allocating their resources to various lanes, having some fog of war in terms of how much a player is putting into one area and another, and attempting to abstract trench warfare to a very high level. But, fairly low-cost games, printed on demand, reasonably good production value. So what do you get here for your? I believe it's $35. You get the game, you get the map, playboard, half sheet counters, 2 decks of cards, and a rulebook. And so this is what is in the box for Hollandspiele's title, The Big Push, Trench Warfare on the Western Front in World War I, and the First World War. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and share. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMG, or follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/AlecMG. Please do also swing by Reddit and join the conversation at /r/hex and counter. Thank you all for joining me, and until next time, enjoy gaming.